function. And in the interest of dwindling time, I will flip through the slides. And imagine the transformative function concerns a reconfiguration or renewal. It is by far the most alchemical of the art healing functions. It is what gives way to something wholly recast, a permanent, irreversible step in a psychic chemical equation. And finally, the memory function, focusing on how specific interactions can be deposited in memory. How to save the experience. The experience of your art healing will never be the same again. That first experience, the second, etc. How do you save or savor the experience? How do you save it and put it away to reinforce further insights? How do you pull out the image at a certain time later in the future when you need to keep interacting with artworks long after the gallery closes? To learn how to retain positive essences from your experience, and to discard versus save the experience. Those are choices that you will make. Now, finally, as an addendum, I should just say one last thing about the patient. The patient that I talked about before, Bill, actively decided to let go of the, I told you that already, but he basically has been searching for fresher ideas to guide his life, embarking recently on a long overdue adventure out of the country in a new path, a new artwork, the work that is his life. And as an addendum to this lecture, I should tell you something interesting that happened recently while I was on 14th Street in New York City. It so happens one late day in May, I was on East 14th Street enjoying what is supposed to be one of the truly best slices of New York pizza in existence. A place called Artichoke. It's not much of a place at all, but it's a place called Artichoke, as the orange toned grease dripped from the corner of my mouth onto my chin and onto the unclean wooden bench where I was sitting. I decided for some reason it would be a good time to check my email. And as I mentioned a moment ago, or I at least indicated, I'm kind of hooked on this thing and the smartphone. And so I didn't bring it up here. Anyway, my very, very good friend and fellow psychiatrist, Florian Birkmeyer, who actually has the Birkmeyer Institute in Albuquerque, he sent a link to me that I read just then of a New York Times article featuring the famous artist Alexander Melamed, the same Melamed who taught elephants to paint a few years ago in Thailand, and whose work was bulldozed by the Soviet government prior to his immigration here in the 70s. More recently, has painted beautiful portraits of Kanye West, 50 Cent, and other rap stars, and had been part of a kind of an art duo, Melamed and Komar, in the past. Now, so I saw this, I read the article, which was incredible, so anyway, I ran to the train and got off at Prince Street, and I found him, basically. I gave him my card, and I told him who I was, and I've got this growing practice uptown part-time and so forth. And honestly, one of the first things he says to me is, "You Jewish?" And so, I mean, I don't know what the dead giveaway was. I was thinking, well, I'm from New York, I'm a psychiatrist, and I'm hardwired to want to cure depression in my mother. So that's, I appreciate that, thank you. So we spoke over orange juice at a Soho cafe, and this we've repeated again and again at his storefront, which he calls the Art Healing Ministry. Now, Alex is hilarious. Clearly, he has an Einstein-like mane of hair and this incredible grin. He's very, very welcoming and feels that indeed art is something that is likely just as good for all kinds of health problems, including and not limited to osteoporosis, warts, and inflammatory bowel disease, benign prostatic hypertrophy, and etc. Okay? And he's very cynical about the usual treatments in medicine. He basically says, look, it's not that useful. In fact, he says, let me tell you something. Medicine, they really, it's an issue because he says, my mother, she's in her 90s, she lives in Moscow. What's her secret? High blood pressure, salt, and potatoes. That's what. And I couldn't, it was very hard to argue with him. But then when I went back, I was sort of armed with more I don't know, data or something. But anyway. Anyway, we had a lot of fun, and I think the time is pretty much up. I mean, you could actually read about my experience with him through my website somewhere. But the point is, there are indeed points of overlap in our ideas. He is fun, and he's infectious as hell. And he's just, to enjoy life with him, to laugh with him is just a thrill. So, there may indeed be some kind of collaboration, and I'll keep you posted. So anyway, thank you very much for your attention.